One, he never saw Brody using it. Every time Brody used it, he was entirely behind a wall, and the shot we see of Spinferno seeing Brody use it was not included in the initial battle scene. And two, dabba dee dabba die, dabba dee dabba die, dabba dee dabba die, dabba dee dabba two, dabba dee dabba die, to his house with 2 little windows and 2 Corvettes, and everything was 2 for him and his 2, and everybody around. Wow. Oh, wow, okay. Get it together, Sean. Whew. Alrighty. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Ninja Steel episode review. You know, it feels good to get back into the groove of things, reviewing Power Rangers week in, week out, like I do. So, I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get into the 3rd episode of Ninja Steel, Live and Learn. Please note, due to my cable box resetting on me, I came into this episode 2 to 3 minutes late. Due to clips on YouTube, I thought the first scene was the Element Stars. Turns out there was a scene with Galvanax sending Spinferno and Mick making the Element Stars. The episode starts with a very interesting training sequence. We see the Rangers meet up before school to train, and they're wearing actually very spiffy black ninja outfits. One thing that I really like about them is that unlike, for example, the MMPR ninja outfits, these are pretty much solid black with only accents of their Ranger colors. It was kind of hard to believe, for example, a ninja wearing bright yellow. Mick gives the Rangers new Element Stars, and Brody explains that a ninja is at one with the 5 elements: Earth, Fire, Wind, Water, and Heart. Actually, in this case, make that Earth, Fire, Water, Forest, and Metal. I'm not entirely sure how forest is an element. I think they were just trying to avoid saying the word wood, but hey. Calvin tries out the water attack and promptly flings himself into some hubcaps. Funny enough, nobody wants to try the fire attack. Back in the base, everybody but Brody wants to go study for a quiz they have that day in school, so he hangs back. This does make sense because how could he be expected to participate in a quiz on his first day of school? Preston gives him one of his old backpacks that a rabbit chewed a hole in, but it's still good. Anyway, his datacom goes off with an announcement. Galaxy Warriors is going live at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. relative to where exactly? With Spinferno attacking the Summer Cove Plaza. Brody decides to let the other Rangers study and handle this one himself. As we see a man taking a selfie saying, "Hi!" Spinferno attacks, and we see that he is a rollerblading fire lion. You know, sometimes we need to just pause, take a step back, and really soak in how weird these monsters can be. Brody shows up to fight Spinferno, but has some trouble. Each time, he asks his datacom for advice on how to handle the monster. Finally, he uses his water attack and sprays Spinferno away. In this great information age in which we live, someone was of course filming the battle and uploaded it to Ranger Tube or something. I don't know what they call it in this continuity. The video goes viral, all the students at the school are watching it, and there are 2 results from this. The first is something that I was actually hoping to see happen. Victor and Monty see the video, and Victor gets jealous that the Power Rangers are getting more popular than he is, and he resolves to become more popular as a result. These 2 finally have a goal and a purpose. The other is that the other Rangers see the video and get upset that Brody went to battle without getting them. Though funny enough, Preston starts to complain about it and Sarah shushes him about discussing Ranger stuff in public. Though I'm not really sure why the Rangers need to have a secret identity, seeing as Galvanax already knows who they are. But then Brody shows up and Sarah starts going off on him instead. Consistency. Mrs. Finch, their teacher, hopefully one of a few, high schoolers these days don't just have one teacher at a time, Power Rangers, comes in and introduces Brody. Brody gets as far as, "My name is Brody," before she cuts him off. But I mean, that's okay. Clearly that's all the information the school needed, since Brody doesn't have, an address or anything. I mean, even back in Mighty Morphin, they'd include in the story when Rangers moved in with other Rangers, got adopted, etc. So Mrs. Finch gives the class the quiz in the form of a quiz show, green versus orange. Brody, on the green team, dominates the quiz because he keeps getting answers from his datacom, even though the other Rangers tell him that he can't do that. Finally, Victor on the orange team spots him doing it and calls him out, Mrs. Finch telling him that's against the rules and making him put it away. I was actually thinking she was going to take it away from him, like a cell phone. You can have this back at the end of the day. They'd have to go fight a monster in between and he wouldn't have it. But no, that's not how they did it. Another weird thing about this is that both Mrs. Finch and Victor react to that weird thing on his wrist with confusion. What is that thingy-majig, etc.? A smartwatch? I mean, obviously that's not what it is, but it sure seems like one, and smartwatches are pretty much a thing nowadays, very popular with high schoolers. It made Power Rangers seem just a little behind the times, as Mick would put it, to not have characters recognize what a smartwatch might be. In my opinion, Victor should have just gone, "Hey, Brody's using a smartwatch!" So, as everyone was able to see coming, as soon as Brody got a backpack with a hole in it, the datacom falls through the hole as he leaves class. It lands right in front of Victor and Monty, who had coveted its ability to answer any question. Victor asks it how he can become more popular than the Power Rangers, and it gives him the pretty obvious answer: defeat a monster. At lunch, Haley and Brody have one of those debates where both sides are technically right. Haley says if Brody keeps using his datacom, he's never going to learn anything. Brody says if you have a tool, you should use it. Preston shows up and tells the Rangers that Spinferno has returned. Brody reaches for his datacom only to find it missing. Shaken, he actually begs out of going to the battle to go look for it. Spinferno is confronted by Victor and Monty in superhero get-ups. They flub around making a video that ends with Victor getting sprayed in the face again. This time, the only way the comic relief actually serves the plot is that Monty asks the datacom what they should do next, and that gives Spinferno a chance to blast it. Spinferno realizes that that's what he saw Brody using in their first fight, and figures out that that's how he knew all of his moves. Except, one, Spinferno never saw Brody use the datacom. Anytime Brody used it, he was behind a wall or some other form of large cover. They do include a flashback shot of Spinferno seeing Brody use the datacom. However, that shot does not come from the initial battle scene. And two, Brody never asked the datacom about Spinferno's moves. He only asked how he could counteract him overall. The four other Rangers confront Spinferno, but honestly have far too much trouble with a monster who has to constantly roll around. Meanwhile, Mick confronts Brody as a skeleton because, and gives us the moral of the day. Yay! Aren't you glad to have those back? The datacom gave Brody answers, sure, but it never gave him the bravery that he needed to be a leader. That's when Brody has a light switch moment, and I'm not really fond of those. In less than 5 seconds, Brody goes from so desperately needing to find his datacom that he delays going to battle, to realizing he doesn't need it at all, dismissing the thing. I'll talk more about this in the pros and cons section. So Brody runs to the battle and shoots at Spinferno. I specify at Spinferno because, heroes, he missed badly. But I mean, Spinferno doesn't want to embarrass him. This is being televised after all. So he leaps into the air anyway. You guys remember Cal Explosions? Pepperidge Farm remembers. What it takes to be a ranger is right here. And here. And here. You're all pointing at the same thing. Anyway, Brody gets a solo morph, and then we see the team's roll call. Interestingly enough, they decided to use the completely unaltered Japanese Sentai footage, including each of the Rangers being represented by kanji. It's not symbol power this time. The kanji are just there. This also represents the first time the team refers to themselves as Power Rangers Ninja Steel. But I've got a little question for you all. Why? I mean, yes, they do know that they are the Power Rangers from what Brody heard about his dad, but why call themselves Ninja Steel? Ninja Steel is just a metal that they use. It would be like Lightspeed Rescue calling themselves Power Rangers Trains, or Jungle Fury calling themselves Power Rangers Animal Spirits. The team name has no context in the story. Credit where credit is due, the Sentai footage was matched far better this week, which actually helped me realize that it wasn't as well matched last week as I thought it was. I found myself wondering how much original footage they shot for this episode, which is a credit to them because obviously it was hard to tell which was which. Spinferno runs off a bit and he's chased by Brody and Preston and they fight a little bit. When the other three Rangers catch up, Spinferno goes, "More Rangers? You were literally just fighting all five." The way the Rangers beat Spinferno is actually really interesting to me. Brody tells Calvin to lure Spinferno to the park where they're going to set up a trap. Calvin challenges the monster to a race with his Ninja Power Star as the prize. He uses the water attack successfully this time to ride his sword like a witch's broom? Spinferno is actually about to win the race when the Rangers spring their trap. Heroes, the Rangers lied. Well, at least Calvin lied. He never intended to give up his Power Star. It was all a ruse, a dirty trick. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. One, it worked, and two, nobody said monsters were entitled to honesty. It's just that, to put this as geekily as I possibly can, the Rangers are usually lawful good, super goody two-shoes, honest heroes. To see the Rangers use some shady tactics to beat a monster is actually kind of interesting and makes them seem more like, well, ninjas. The Rangers destroy Spinferno with an elemental final strike, which is actually another original destruction of a monster, because in the Sentai version, their version of Ripcon actually destroyed this monster for going rogue. Cosmo asks the Galaxy Warriors audience if they would like him to be gigantified. But you know, that whole rollerblading theme was really kind of tired and boring, and they actually vote no. So instead, Cosmo sends down a Skull Gator, a large skeleton grunt monster. The Rangers hop, well, on their Zords and fight a little, with Calvin even slashing the giant monster directly. But then Brody calls the Rangers down to the ground because he has an idea, a theory. Just like their team comes together as one, maybe their Zords can too. Into one Megazord? Haley asks. Excuse me a moment. Be right back with you. So, of course, with this idea of Brody's being just an untested theory, he knows exactly which star to use, exactly which hand motions to do, and exactly what to say to activate the process. The Zords come together and form the Ninja Steel Megazord, which, while not looking all that great to be honest, does have an interesting mechanic. The Robo Red Zord sits in the middle of the chest and kind of controls the Megazord like it's wearing power armor. Okay, now stop me if this surprises you, but for the third Neo Saban theme out of 4, we get original cockpit footage. I really don't hate it this time. I actually think it was a good idea. Ninja used the whole Lord seated on the throne and underlings underneath carrying it motif, and that really wouldn't have worked here in America. Sarah notes that the Megazord isn't powered up, and Brody finds new power stars inside. Preston notes that the stars have ninja masters on them. Because any American high school student would clearly recognize the marks of ninja masters, obviously, duh. That really should have been Brody's line if you think about it. And upon further inspection, the ninja masters on them is just a drawing of a ninja. There's not even any indication that it's a master. Anyway, these are the Ninja Master Mode stars that allow the Rangers to activate Ninja Master Mode, not to be confused with Jungle Master Mode, their cockpit armor for these seasons. I actually like the way they look, pointed armor down the chest and on each shoulder. If you picture it going down the back in the same way, it actually forms a 4-point star, which I think is pretty neat. As a matter of fact, I would have liked to have seen some kind of CG animation that reflected that. And with it, Brody gets a brand new toy for kids to buy, a new weapon, the Ninja Master Blade. Behold the revered ancient ninja chainsaw sword. And don't worry, I'm sure that just like the Dino Superdrive Saber, this thing is going to go to whomever's focus episode it is. After a few quick Megazord slashes, Brody energizes the blade. 3 plain ninja stars fly into the sword, representing the ninja steel, making the 3 wheels on it spin. The Rangers then use the Ninja Steel Megazord, Master Slash, Final Attack. Powerful sword swing of great verbiage, excessive wordage, final magnanimous attack of great fortitude. Too many words, and most of them are completely redundant. Ninja Steel Megazord. No kidding, that's the thing you're driving. We know what it's called. Final Attack. If you use this attack and it works and the monster blows up, we're going to know it's the final attack. All you need to say is Master Slash. Up on the Warrior Dome, Galvanax is upset about another loss, but he does have to admit that the Rangers' Megazord is pretty amazing. I kind of like this actually. It shows kind of a respect in battle that he can admit that the Rangers have really sweet gear. Meanwhile, at the school, the Rangers are playing pool. Again, this is at school, when Brody shows up with gifts for them. Unfortunately, Galvanax realized about Brody's datacom and had it shut off. But now, Mick has made them brand new ninja comms so they're able to communicate with each other. They say that these ninja comms connect to something far more powerful than the Warrior Dome. They're Ranger teamwork. But no, that's not more powerful than knowing exactly how to beat any monster Galvanax has. Sorry. The episode has a gag ending where apparently Monty actually made a video out of what he shot, a video that makes fun of Victor, and he uploaded it for some reason. But Victor sees it and doesn't get mad because the video goes more viral than the Red Ranger video. Let's just fling ninja stars. Episode 3, Live and Learn. Standing on the edge of tomorrow. Sorry. Pros, earnestness of Brody's character, Rangers are quickly feeling like a family, and the new cockpit and suits look good. Cons, logic breaks and single-bit errors, Brody's acting is a bit hit or miss, and another light switch character moment. This is one of those that could have been a 4 and it could have been a 2. Live and Learn gets 3 ninja stars out of 5. There's something about Brody's character that I find myself liking early on. His character, acting notwithstanding. He's headstrong, but he just also has this earnestness about him. I really liked in this episode that the reason he fought alone was because he didn't want to disrupt the Rangers' studies. It wasn't that he didn't think he needed his team or that he was trying to have a big hero moment. It was just, hey, you guys were busy and I didn't want to bother you. Brody's just a nice guy. Related to that aspect, this cast already feels very much like Dino Charge in that these characters feel like a close-knit group. The other Rangers took Brody fighting on his own as something of a betrayal of their team, but they were also able to forgive him very easily and reunite. Like I said, it just seems very similar to Dino Charge, which speaks both to good, consistent writing and also good casting. And yes, we have our brand new buy more toys, new cockpit set and Zord armor, but I actually like them, like I said. The cockpit set is a nice contrast of red and gray and actually seems slightly brighter than the Dino Charge cockpits did. I find myself wishing we had gotten all 5 colors and not just red, but oh well. And like I said, the Zord armor looks good. It's basically just enhanced chest armor instead of something more complicated that changes the suit a lot. Okay, this is now where you get to accuse the Orange Ranger of being nitpicky. But to me, this episode just had more than its fair share of weird single-bit errors, weird just what, huh moments. Here's my list. This dude taking the selfie saying, hi, instead of cheese or smile. Sarah getting on Preston's case about talking out loud about Ranger stuff, then literally turning right around and getting on Brody's case about Ranger stuff out loud. Brody is admitted to Summer Cove High School without an address or really anything besides a name. Mrs. Finch and Victor, a high school student, not knowing what a smartwatch is. Spinferno saying he saw Brody using his datacom when he didn't. Brody shooting at Spinferno and missing, but Spinferno jumping anyway. Spinferno saying more Rangers, despite having fought all 5 Rangers in that very battle. Brody knowing exactly how to activate the Ninja Steel Megazord, despite it only being a theory to him. Preston saying the Ninja Master Mode stars have Ninja Masters on them, when really it's just clip art of a ninja. As I hinted at, the performance for Brody through 3 episodes is leaving a little something to be desired. Now, just like Troy in Megaforce, this could absolutely be direction as opposed to acting. I'm not saying one way or the other. Just to give an example, during the scene where Mick is teaching Brody the moral, and Brody says, "Thanks, Mick!" that was cringeworthy. That was really the best take you had on that line. And I detailed this more during the plot recap, but I actually always hate seeing the Rangers just change in an instant after hearing the moral of the day. Brody was completely reliant on his datacom, both in battle and in regular life. It was actually good character for him to be scared to go into battle without it. But then Mick says, it's just a smartwatch, and he just flips in 2 seconds. There really should have been some more character development. It shouldn't have been so easy. Maybe he goes to ask it a question and it realizes he doesn't have it anymore. Maybe Spinferno uses a new attack during the final battle and he has to adjust to it on the fly. Maybe he does get it back and starts to ask it a question and then realizes that he doesn't need to anymore. Or maybe even he just messes up a couple of times and realizes that he's not perfect, but he's still the leader. It was just too night and day. It was just far too easy and simple. Wrapping things up, this was just one of those episodes that felt like it had a hard time getting out of its own way, which is a problem that I've seen Power Rangers having as of late in this era. This episode was one of those written by the 3-writer team of Becca Barnes, Alwyn Dale, and Chip Lynn. And I've come to notice that when those 3 are all on an episode, they tend to have a too many cooks in the kitchen feeling, where certain aspects of the episode don't match up with each other or make sense. A perfect example of this, as minor as it is Spinferno saying more Rangers after he had already fought all 5 but was just fighting Brody and Preston at the moment. That's the kind of thing that makes me feel like the script or the footage breakdown or something was divided into 3 parts for each of the writers, and that's where somebody's part began. Like they didn't realize that Spinferno had been fighting all 5 Rangers, they just saw that he was fighting 2 and then 3 more showed up. Like I said, it is a tiny detail, but these are the tiny little errors that can just rip me out of an episode. It was a good enough story, your standard at this point Power Rangers moral of the day, Barney the dinosaur type episode, but with good character building for Brody and a good team building aspect overall. And even the merchandising fit in this week, as I like the Ninja Master Mode suits and the new cockpit. I really just wish the writing was more consistent so the episodes would flow better. Well, we've had our Red Ranger Focus episode. Blue Ranger stands to be the next in line. Let's take a look at what's going to happen in the 4th episode of Ninja Steel. Presto Changeo. Oh. Seriously, I checked. Multiple sources. Presto Changeo. Oh. Preston is amazed when he discovers he's developed real magical abilities. Meanwhile, Galvanax hatches a plan with a new monster to steal the ninja power stars. That is going to wrap up another Power Rangers Ninja Steel episode review. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching. Make sure to click the like button right down below to let me know that you liked the video. Let me know what you thought of this episode and of my review of it in the comments down below. And make sure to subscribe to the channel to get all the weekly geekly. Also make sure you ring that bell so you're getting notified of when I post new videos. And as I say every week, if you happen to have a couple of dollars lying around you don't have anything else to do with, you can head over to my channel page and click that blue support button, and I'd really appreciate it. But remember, you can only do that through the end of February. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Ranger tube or something, I don't know what they call it in their continuity. There you go! Yay! Mrs. Finch, their teacher, hopefully one of a few Power Rangers farts. Hey! He's using a smartwatch! I'm sorry. No, it's okay. You're okay. You saying hi to people? Hi! What do you want to say to them? What do you want to say to them? Really? Why's that? Oh. You can jump down? Very popular with high schoolers. It may smartwatches are pretty popular nowadays, especially with high schoolers. And 2, Spinferno realizes that that's what Brody had been using earlier and figures out that that's how he knew all of his moves. Except, Spinferno figures out, no, Spinferno doesn't figure out, Spinferno realizes. But that shot is not from the initial battle scene. And 2, oh my gosh. Spinferno doesn't want to embarrass Brody. This is on, like, galactic which actually means last week it wasn't quite as well done as I gave it credit for, saying I just happened to recognize it. Spinferno puppies! Right on screen. Except it's going to be too small to read. Credit where credit is due, the Sentai footage was far better matched this week, which actually helped me realize that the footage last week wasn't quite as well matched as I thought it was. Spinferno runs off a bit, and Brody. He never had any intention of giving up his power star. It was all a ruse, a dirty trick. Cosmo asks, of all the places to mess that up while I'm ad-libbing. The Rangers destroy Spinferno with an elemental final strike. The Rangers destroy Spinferno with an elemental final strike, which art. Slow down. And I detailed this more during the plot recap. The line is not there. And I detailed this more during the plot recap, but or even better, maybe he gets it back and then realizes that he left something out. Donk. Let me know what you thought of and I just realized I have to do next time. And as I say every week, if you happen to have a couple of dollars you're not doing anything else with, you can... And also make sure to subscribe to the channel to get that weekly geekly, and also make sure to ring the bell to... I get into my own head. It's insane.